So, hi everyone, it's Erkan Ali here with Shulagh Jacobs. We've had a 6-odd week, we'll call it a hiatus, break, timeout. You sit on that bench until you calm down. And it's been interesting because Shulagh and I had almost no contact in 6 weeks until yesterday. We had a brief catch up. So, what's the title? What have we called the title of this one?
Where are we now?
Where are we? Who are we?
Yeah.
Who are you? Yeah,
we considered quite a few variations, didn't we?
Yeah, well, I think, we've been officially in lockdown since the 22nd of March. It's affected every aspect of our lives. It's affected work, it's affected social, it's affected the way we move around, the way we interact. There's a way that people are in public with each other. That's changed a lot in terms of what I've noticed. Obviously, the impacts on us individually, and I think that's something we want to share a little bit about. But also maybe how, if you like, the understanding of what's going on. I mean, that's something I'd like to sort of touch into and discuss. So, in a nutshell, what's your update? I mean, let's get us into the show. I mean, where are you at, Shulagh? Hello, remember me?
Vaguely. Yeah, I mean, it feels like a lot has happened in the last month or so. And whereas August, typically people are going off on their holidays, and some people still have, I was tempted kind of not to take any respite at all, being so fired up by the situation and like the urgency of the changes that were taking place. But having said that, I did take a little bit of a breather. I did step back and kind of got in touch with myself again, and that felt really important. And a lot of that has got to do with properly reopening the studio, getting back into my dancing. And yeah, it feels like I've found myself again. I hadn't realised how far away from that I was actually getting. So it's been a very positive time.
Yeah, got that. For me, I've been taking care of personal, my own personal matters, within the family, within my own work and business, income producing stroke, my life of commerce. I've also started, which I think I said to you yesterday on the call, I've been doing a lot more looking at law and common law and how, kind of I've been looking back at, well, where did this all start for us as an individual? Or more so, where did it all start for me? Looking at your own life. And I've been looking at just the process of when we're born and how our parents take us off to the deaths, marriages and births registry and basically hand you over. And what you become is a number. You get issued a stock certificate. You basically are birthing your existence as an asset. And from the very get-go, we're owned. And I can't get that out of my mind, because if that's the very start of everything, and everything's built off the back of that, we've been lied, we've been deceived, we've been manipulated our whole lives. And it's kind of like you're born into the matrix, and waking up and coming out of the matrix isn't a binary. Isn't like you're awake and it's all sorted. It's there's a thing I did a Be Inspired program. I did that it's a series of red pills. It's like I knew about the birth certificate quite a long time ago. So it's not like that knowledge in and of itself is the thing that makes you go, that changes everything. And it does. It's your deepening understanding of the ramifications or the impact or the consequences of that. That's what I've been kind of getting more deeper into, rather than just the acquisition of knowledge, is actually considering what does that make, what are the consequences and the outcomes of those things. And I've kind of gone straight deep into it. But that's what I've been thinking a lot about.
I think it's very interesting. I mean, I've come into this relatively recently and learning about the whole process of, what happens via the birth certificate and stuff like that. And like yourself, I've been doing quite a lot of exploration around that, looking at strategies, etc. And one of the things I realised is that it's crucial to know who you are at your very core, because if you do, then all this stuff has a lot less impact, I think, personally and psychologically.
And I don't know if there's a pause or a, but
Just gathering thoughts.
I think you think I think I'm Erkan Kai Hunt Ali, and that's what it says on my driving license, my birth certificate, and all the official paperwork that comes to me. But what we notice is that that name, your name, whenever it comes to you from an official point of view, it's always cap lock caps, capital letters. And that's
they
not
call
you.
it a legal fiction, don't they?
Yeah, it's a legal fiction. They call it straw man. There's basically it's a corporation. It's not you, the human being, the live human being. I've been really engrossed in that thought. People are born and die and never knew that they were representing something that wasn't them. And it's I won't even say a trick. I mean, a trick sounds almost fun. Hey, it's like it's a fundamental fraud. We're living in a fraud, and people don't know they don't know that they don't know that. And then inside of that fraud, they're trying to work out the Gordian knot. They're trying to deconstruct the puzzle of what's going on with humanity and the way things are changing right now. But at the very fundamental point of when we come into this world, living, breathing, from our mothers, we are very soon after that kind of like, right, number 2,445, bosh, get it. You are taken and conditioned, shaped, influenced, manipulated, lied to. I mean, that's the thing I can't kind of let go of in my head at the moment, as in the amount of deceit that is born upon us throughout our lives, and we can't tell what is true and what isn't. We don't. I'm talking to Shulagh Jacobs, but really, who am I talking to? I don't mean just as in who you are as a human being, but the entity, the very fundamental entity, is a fraud.
Yeah, I mean, that's where like self-definition is important, but that's kind of another conversation. What we're seeing now is that obviously the state is starting to take that ownership very, very seriously, and impact on our lives and make requirements that they've never done before, not in the history of this country, I don't think. And
no, and I think I think that's the thing I was alluding to, is the consequences of the fact that you're born and surrendered into a birth certificate that makes you a ward of the state or owned asset. Then if you're an asset of the state, then you're not the owner of your life. And we've been, on one level, we've been told, there's democracy, there's freedom of speech, we have human rights, and you find you don't have hardly any, you don't own anything. Just look at your if you own a car, if you have a car, a vehicle, or a contraption from moving from A to B, whatever you want to define it as, on it says the registered keeper. So you've actually, when you license your car, you register it with DVLA, which is a corporation. You're saying this is yours, and I'm going to maintain it and look after it. If we look at the way land registry works, you don't own the land. You just have if you finally pay off a debt on it, a mortgage, you then have the right to sit on that parcel of land for free. It's a free holding. You don't own the land. And who doesn't own anything? Who's owned are slaves. Now, I know we talk about this and people go, oh, you call me a slave. What is the definition of a slave? In your mind, if you haven't done any of this research and you're watching this right now, in your mind, what is the definition of a slave? And in every respect, we are slaves. Unless we self, and this is the thing about what you said earlier about who you start to identify yourself as. Do you and a lot of this is based in in the legal system under the statute law. It doesn't supersede common law. So it's kind of a game played on top of a game. So it's a bit like there's a whole load of people over there playing Monopoly and playing in the rules of Monopoly, and here I am thinking, I don't want to play that game. In fact, that game isn't even a game that it's not even like, you know, there's a sense in games, there's a sense of fairness and sportsmanship, and you know the outcome is unknown, and through the game, the skill and the decisions you make and the actions you take, you win or lose within the game. But this game is so,
there's no point.
No, it's so heavily
There's
stacked.
no point playing a game you can't win at the end of the day.
No, not within the game. And that's something I've been kind of really looking at, you know, in a new way, in a kind of like, given what's coming, given what we're dealing with coming, you know, this is it. Yeah. So people are saying, so what should I do? And I'm like, well, it depends what you should do next really is, I think there's two things. One, what you think is actually going on right now. What is it you think is happening? And what you think is coming. Yeah. So there's what is happening right now, and what you think is coming will dictate or shape or influence your thinking and ergo your action. It's how you diagnose the situation and project into the future what is coming, and then you take the actions to mitigate or to put yourself in a position of strength or avoid, like, you know, avoid peril or whatever that, you know, however you want to term that. So given that we all have different understandings of what is happening and what's coming, then your actions have to be appropriate within your, you know, within your circumstances, within your skill set, within your level of courage or your propensity to fear, you know,
and with the resources you've got available as well.
And the resources you have right now. Yeah, exactly. I think that's exactly it, and I think that is something that I'm seeing a lot of people are not actually thinking of it in those terms. They're going along with the narrative. They're almost subjugating and acquiescing their freedoms to and devolving their authority and their sovereignty for what is considered protection or safety or the why would they do that? You know, why would they do that? You know, like there's a background dissonance that says that, you know, the government or the, you know, Bill Gates why would he do anything to harm us? He's a philanthropist. He's a great guy. All he's doing is trying to help us get through this threat, you know, this global disease, and people actually say that out loud. And I kind of go, oh, you know, you really haven't really looked at this, have you? And then they'll give you all the information through the mainstream, through the universities, through the authorities to back those claims up. And it's all branding and marketing and lies and smoke and mirrors, but they don't see it. They really think that is the case. And I'm like, what do you do? Do you make them wrong? Do you get angry with them? I've even looked at it and thought, I'm going to have to unfriend you because I can't even consider you a friend. You're actually doing damage. And then I think my more enlightened side, my enlightened side says, well, no, if you cut ties and you cut off your friend, then you're playing into that whole divide and conquer, you know, that divide and conquer methodology, because that's what it does. It puts us Black Lives Matter, blah, 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 blah. We're all against each other when we really are all on the same side.
Yeah, I mean, I've been close to blocking a few people. I haven't done it, but then you're just cutting off another conduit of the information getting out there. That for me was the bigger way of looking at things, but at the same time you have to protect your own sanity.
Yes.
And I reached a point where I was going on Facebook and, like, as usual, open warfare in the comments, and rather than going in and being on there for 10 minutes and getting off again, I was there for hours just trying to follow these threads and these arguments and try and put some rationality back into the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a question for you. At any time, have you actually doubted the way that things are starting to occur to you? That's the thing I found is I may not know specifically, we talked about this in previous episodes. Like, you can only get as close as you can to what is considered the reality, because a lot of the reality we're experiencing through proxy sense makers, through reports that are coming down through the channels. So you've got to kind of make sense of it. But contextually, I'm not doubting it at all. But, if the very if let's go to day one, you're born, and very soon after that, you are registered as stock for the vested interests. Then and you don't know that, and you're talking about what's coming and what's happening, and you don't. It's a bit like the foundations of the building are corrupted. They are not. The very foundations of our existence in this society is a fraud. And how can you then take anything that comes after that seriously? Really, the education system, the money system, political, medicine, news, media, films. I just see it all as a very, in a way that kind of, even you see things in films being said, and they're just re-establishing those vested interests.
Yeah, it's like these layers and layers and layers that have been built up over the years, and these layers just go so deep and like intertwine between all these different fields so vastly that unless you are prepared to spend time digging down and really looking for the information and going off grid to do it, then you won't find what's out there.
No, it is a lot of work to deconstruct that illusion, that matrix. You've really got to want to. You've got to have that, or I'm sure we're all born with the innate desire to learn and understand our environment, and I guess you're either being conditioned by the narrative that's being controlled, or you go looking for your own view of what's going on. I think I posted a meme it's on the phone about, I think it was Van Mises, who said that people who study and educate themselves are far more intelligent and understand what's going on than those who just go along with what they're told in universities and like who are the official intellectuals, as opposed to those who actually do the study on their own terms. I think Mark Devlin said something along the lines, I'm just an ordinary guy, and that gives me, being an ordinary, unaffiliated, not bought, I can study and consider information and work it out on my own terms, because I'm beholden to no one. No, I won't lose. There was a young lady, I forgot her name. She said, "Here's my certificate of bollocks" or something. Did you see her?
I saw that. It was hilarious.
I thought, wow, oh God, I wonder, and I don't know, maybe she's naive, maybe she knows exactly what she's doing, but she felt the desire to say, I just got a certificate and it's a load of bollocks because of what I did during COVID. I didn't do anything, and she's called it. And whether that's naivety, ignorance, or just pure out and out courage, you have to respect it, because what I'm seeing is that in if you like the mainstream, our channel's called Beyond Mainstream. So in the mainstream is pretty much anyone who's talking to you is supporting and compounding the narrative of the vested interests and the controllers. You won't hear anybody that's out there saying something different on mainstream is labelled an idiot, a conspiracy theorist, they're not even, you don't even hear them. You don't. They're just made to look stupid. And, there's another meme I saw where this guy's kind of going, oh my God. It's like when you realize the person you're talking to is so clueless, they think you're the idiot. They really have not done that work. Now, I don't want to be going around bashing people about this, but that's a real barrier to us building momentum as a collective. And the more channels are being taken down, fact checking, censorship is coming along. People just kind of lazy go, yeah, it's been fact checked. That's bollocks. And you kind of go, oh dear, yeah, it's been fact checked, and that's not true, because someone told you it's not true. Who's basically behind that, they're the ones who are actually selling you the narrative of there's a pandemic and there's a virus and there's a vaccine on the way, and don't worry about all the businesses and all the livelihoods that are being destroyed and decimated. We'll get you universal basic income. And look, the government, I've had someone say, I think the government has been very generous. They've given us these grants and they've made available these cheap loans, and you kind of go, well, that's a level of thinking that just doesn't go, you know, doesn't actually say to yourself, well, okay, so
yeah, when do governments ever give free money?
you know,
I've had a
go,
few people
really
say
good.
that to me.
You can go out and do eat out to help out. I'm like, this is not a good thing. This is not a good thing, because you know, you get, was it shekels after shackles? You know, sorry, shackles after shekels. You know, it's like there are going to be massive conditions attached to this so-called money flow that's suddenly been put into the, and it's not going to solve the problem of businesses not reopening. You know, and I'm, you know, my background is business consulting and business coaching and helping business, and I've been putting some proposals together recently for businesses, and I put in the COVID effect, question marks. I mean, who knows? I mean, I can project what I think is coming, but then if those things are really accurate, what does that do for business? You know, business as, you know, in terms of SME owner operated business globally, it wipes out massive percentages of that activity, and that means people who have jobs, people who service those businesses. I mean, the ripple effect of that is going to be formidable.
Yeah, I mean, I've even heard some people say, oh, well, they'll be closed for now, but they'll reopen next year or something. And you think, okay.
Yeah. Well,
really?
Who's going to pay
How's that going to happen?
Yeah, who's going to pay the rent on the premises until then, or the car leases, or the equipment payments? You know, you talk to most business owners, you go and they got this bit of kit, they got the vans, they got the whatever. You say, well, there's for 25 more payments on that one, 400 a month, 300 a month. There's 1,200 a month on that bit of kit. There's, you know, add it all up. How's that going to be? And I remember when I had my dry cleaning businesses. This is about 15 years ago. We had a load of equipment leased from a company. I won't say the name, from a company, and we had a bit of a financial a cash flow dip, and we missed a couple of payments. Maybe when I say couple, I mean two separate bits of kit in the same month. Right, that wasn't consecutive months. It was like literally 2 payments didn't go out because there was a cash flow. We got a letter, and they said within 7 days, if we don't pay that, they'll come and take all the kit. So imagine you got 5 items of kit financed by the same company. You miss 1 payment, they come and take all of it away. Well, that's the threat. They don't really want the kit. They just want to go, you better pay that, otherwise we're going to basically shut you down. You know, then you see the true color of banks and corporations when that starts to happen. And it's already starting to happen. So, you know, how do you advise against that? Well, you could say, well, make sure you keep up your payments. But you know, it's a bit like being out at sea in a sailboat and the wind drops. You can paddle a certain amount, but you know, comes a point where you're going to exhaust yourself, or it's ineffective. You need the wind of the market, the demand. And we've gone from, in my opinion, overinflated artificial demand through debt and consumption to boom, nothing. Like a hard stop. Wow. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, without a cash flow, you're stuck. You can't do anything. So,
yeah.
And I think we're going to see more and more premises closing down.
Just something else I'd like to share. There was an interview. I really can't remember the name of the guy, but I remember the channel was Crow 777 Radio, and they were interviewing this guy who moved to Hawaii about 3 years ago with his wife, and they bought an acre of land. And they paid $89,000 for this land, and they wanted to build an off-grid, self-sufficient lifestyle, something that I'm very interested in. And full disclosure, I've never grown anything. I've cut grass. That's about as far as it goes. But I think, and I've been saying this for a while, is I think that a real good strategy going forward is get as off-grid, self-sufficient as you can. And obviously there's degrees of getting off-grid and self-sufficient. So someone like me who's lived their whole life in the way that I have, water on tap, electricity, go to the shops, you buy your food, you get in the car, you go. That's how probably a lot of our lives have been, to thinking about creating enough energy on your property to sustain the requirements of the property and the lifestyle, and create enough food and sustenance is not something you just go. And this is the thing that the interviewer was saying about, he was saying about buying the land in Hawaii. It's taken them 3 years to get to a point where they're growing more than they need. And that's not just the clearing of the land. And, I know you've been growing some food, which I'd love to hear more about, but it's also, putting in the equipment, the solar panels, getting the water system working, growing something and then failing and trying to work out why that didn't work and then go again. This is a massive, it's a lot of work involved. So they're the things I've been thinking about, is how can you, as much as possible, be buffered. Because if you lose your job and you have a mortgage and car payments and there isn't another job, and the government says, yeah, Shulagh, no problem, just sign this form, here's your universal basic income. Oh, just before we give you the money, just book your appointment to get those injections sorted and we'll all be good. I mean, that to me is like...
No, we won't be good.
Yeah, so if you can't do that, if you can't provide for yourself independently, which majority of people won't be able to do, because they don't have enough land, they don't have the skills or the wherewithal. And also I think they may just acquiesce and go, yeah, where do I sign? Tick, that's the way it is now. A friend of mine was saying, he was talking to a lawyer the other day, intelligent woman, blah, blah, blah. She said, I just want to get this injection done and get on with my life. And he said, I sent her some information to look at it, followed her up. Did you look at the information? No, I can't be bothered with all that. I just get me the injection, I can crack on with my life for me and my son. I'm like, wow. And these are intelligent people, so-called intelligent people.
It's scary. Yeah. I mean, I've been really excited about actually growing real fruit and veg. It is about small wins to start with. I mean, the first real one for me was I haven't had to buy a lettuce in about 6 weeks. I now have a steady crop of lettuces coming in, as it's a staple food for me in the summer. That's great.
And I remember, I can't remember, I think it's John Hickman was his name. He was one of the guys on AV11 back in May. And he talks about eating wild food, like going out into the woods and the forests and picking, really wild food. And also I think it sort of goes to growing your own food. There's more nutrition in it. You don't need as much of it. And I think if you put the work and effort into growing a load of tomatoes, you're not going to be as wasteful. So the whole thing, this is, and going back to this interview, this Hawaiian interview, was, he said, the thing is that if you grow if you plant a tomato seed and you get a tomato plant, then you can plant the seeds off that one and you create abundance. Because everything we've been taught about is scarcity and fear and competition. And what there is out there is there's massive abundance. There's more than enough. And I think they were saying in this interview, there's on 1 acre of land you can feed 10 families. So and his guy, he said, look, I've got now to a position where I have surplus. I have more than I need. And what you can do with more than you need is give it away, swap it, sell it. What do we do with abundance within the commercial sector is we take it off the shelves and we bin it. Because if you gave it away or you made it available for people, it will bring down the price of the produce. So in the commercial world, scarcity is part of marketing, it's part of maintaining price. But in the if you like the self-sustained world, abundance creates wealth. It creates nourishment for more people. And it's not a hard, once you get to that stage, I'm not saying it's easy, but if we were operating like that as a society, there's more than enough for everyone. More than.
Yeah, I think it's easier than people think, actually. It just requires, like anything, the mindset to just get started and, not fear that it's not going to work, or fear that, you've not got enough space, or, don't see the limits, just see that the resources and what you can do with what you've got. Start small.
And what's it
I
like
mean,
when you go on, Carol?
I read something about planting lemon trees, and literally what you do, you just go buy a couple of organic lemons, take the seeds out, plant them. Mine have only just germinated, but apparently within a couple of years you should have a little tree that's ready to start bearing fruit. I mean, it's a long game. Not going to get anything from it immediately, but who knows?
Do you have that
It's just quite
excitement when
exciting watching things grow.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really done that yet. I haven't really done much of it, but like Arzu's been growing tomatoes and runner beans and a few other bits and pieces out in the back garden, and she's been battling the slugs and the snails. Like they're coming in and destroying the work she's put in. It's whole soul destroying. And then on the other hand, she'll come with a little plate of tomatoes and go, "Look, I got tomatoes! I got tomatoes!" I'm like, I haven't shared the experience of doing it yet. But I can definitely appreciate how even when I planted grass seeds a few months ago, didn't I? No, last year, and I'd open the window and look out and go, oh, look, they're coming out a bit more. And then the first cut of them was actually really rewarding. And I think we've been spending a lot of time, in our devices being rewarded, with little sparks of, is it endomorphines or whatever it is? It's
the dopamine hit, yeah.
Dopamine, yeah, the dopamine hits. Sorry, I haven't got my. Plug my laptop in. Right, great. Yeah, so the excitement of getting that buzz and that serotonin from doing something natural, as opposed to being stuck in our devices. I imagine the whole thing is highly, highly beneficial to us. Really rewarding.
It's changed my life, actually. Because before, I think I used to do what most people would do, just wake up, get out of bed. The first thing you would do is reach for your phone and check any incoming, notifications. Now, I don't even bother with the phone. In fact, I have everything outside of the bedroom when I sleep. I get up. First thing I do is go down the greenhouse, check on everything, and then I go for a walk. And it's lovely.
That is wonderful.
It's a really nice way to start the day. So, I go on my walk, I look over the fields, and like the nature around here, the diversity of it all is just amazing. I never realised there were so many species of insect. And, I've come across snakes and different birds that I wouldn't normally see back in Essex. And
that is
people
life.
say that, I'm in touch with nature. I really feel that I am now, because I'm walking, and every day I'll notice something different in the hedgerow, a new flower or something that's popped up, or some more animal life, and it's great.
Do you think, this might be, it's kind of personal, but it isn't. Do you think as we're getting older, we also appreciate things that we never appreciated before? I mean, even without the lockdown, I think going back to Lemon Tree, I've got this little story about wanting to go to live in Cyprus, and it's inspired by my dad. Not going to Cyprus, but living this more off-grid, sustainable lifestyle. And I remember years ago, my dad. We've had a place in Turkey for 35 odd years, and the place we've got, the place we've got at the moment, my dad, points at this little lemon tree in the garden, and he says, "That's my happiness." I'm like, "What are you talking about, Dad? Don't you want to go and do this and go travel?" He goes, "No." He goes, "When the sun starts setting, just as it's starting to go, there's a lovely little breeze that comes, and my mum and dad have got these little chairs under the lemon tree, and they just get under the lemon tree and they just sit there, little Malibu with ice and a bit of peach in it, and they just said that, the pleasure of just being under the lemon tree, because it's like aromatherapy. You can smell the hint of pine off the hills, and there's that sea air in the background, and it's like just sitting there and feeling that breeze on your skin with a little bit of a sweat on. It's just cooling and calming, and I've been thinking, the lemon tree for me is symbolizing that lifestyle. So it's interesting you mentioned the lemon tree, and I've got a few friends of mine that go, "How's lemon tree coming on?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's getting there bit by bit. It's getting there bit by bit. We're taking a bit, as a family, within a marriage, and you just can't go and do what you want to do just because you want to do it. You have to, it's a team effort, and teams are a pain in the arse really, because sometimes people are pulling in, they're not all pulling in the same direction as much as we'd like it to. So the lemon trees are really, for me, as soon as you said, I'm like, it just symbolises that connection to nature and not wanting for anything. Because our whole lives we've been conditioned to want this, want that. Oh, you've got the blue one. Oh, the red one's in fashion now. Oh, you've got an iPhone 6. Oh, you need an 8, a 9, a 10, a 20, 35, a 35 plus. It's never you've got something that does the job, And on that note, I've also, I think I did this before in the last 6 weeks. I think I did it. I bought myself a Nokia 6310, old school little phone, and all it does is it's a phone, right? And my iPhone is going to be put on hiatus indefinitely, hopefully, very soon, and that'll be it. So if I really want to have a conversation with someone, I'll pick up the phone and have the conversation, and then put the phone down. And if I want to do a bit of social media, I want to reduce my engagement with it, and then just do things, and then go off and live that lemon tree lifestyle. So maybe this little 6-week break has shown us how much progress has taken place, and also in that time how much things are around us without our desire are evolving in one way or another. Whether that's more people waking up, whether that's the powers that shouldn't be cranking up their overreach, and whatever. I think the whole thing is a very interesting time, challenging but interesting for sure.
It is, definitely. I've done much the same thing in that I've got an old burner phone. It's not even a proper Nokia. I think it's an imitation Nokia.
Oh, you've got the whole one.
Yeah. And I'm literally stripping all the dodgy Facebook apps and things off of my iPad, and just only using the laptop and stuff when I have to, and trying to spend more time digging and doing like real proper work.
Yeah, and how's your writing coming on?
I haven't written loads over the last few weeks, partly because I was very focused on the studio. As you know, I've been filming, trying to get the whole syllabus online, and much as us women are supposed to be good at multitasking, I tend to be a bit all or nothing with stuff. I like to focus on one thing, get it done, then move on to the next thing. Otherwise, I get too easily overwhelmed. But yeah, I mean, there's always ideas that are kind of lodged in the back of my brain somewhere, and they will get down eventually.
Cool. So, anything else you want to add?
No, just getting back to nature for me. It sounds like such a cliche, but it does feel like what I've done. It has been really important, and it's really changed the way I've interacted with the world around me, for sure. Definitely. And I like...
Are you sharing any of that online, or is it all just a personal offline experience?
At the moment, it's mostly offline. I have been posting a few photos here and there, but I might, again, just with this whole thing of wanting to keep my life off of Facebook, but I'll probably start doing more of it on my private blog, on the Wielding the Sword site. That might be the way.
The reason I say that is it's a very positive thing, and it's something that I've been seeing Chris Hughes posting, and we were there when he first started talking about, I'm going to start clearing a patch in the garden, and he's made some real progress. I don't want to go into
He's done amazingly well. I've got veg envy.
Veg envy, yeah. And he's done, the other thing I've been doing is I've been selling a lot of my personal items that have been, I've got items that I have not used in 5, 10, 15 years, maybe longer. And I'm like, what am I holding on to these? Like, I find the more I'm getting rid of them, and I've still got loads to go. I'm sorry, it's not worth a lot of money. You know, it might be of use to someone else, and whatever I can't sell, I'm going to give away. Just declutter. Get the. You know, I put a leather jacket on for sale on eBay the other day, and I think I've had it there or thereabouts 30 years, maybe 25. Right? I'm thinking it's not my colour. It's a lovely, beautiful leather, you know, kind of bomber style jacket. Well, it's a fantastic jacket. I just don't wear it. And I'm like, why are we holding on to that? You know, I'm thinking to myself, what am I holding? It's like one day I might wear it, or there's that stuff that when I lose a bit of weight, I don't know. I know that's probably more a female thing than a male thing. I don't know. I'm just
yeah, I got a few clothes like that.
Yeah, you know, but you know, but we become emotionally attached to these things. And I'm selling some items that are really high-end audio things that I bought again 30 odd years ago, maybe. You know, and because they're really expensive and desirable, I've been like, well, I can't just get rid of them. But they've been sitting in my basement for, well, they've been unused for probably 20 something years. And I'm like, why am I holding on? Almost like you're almost, it's like, you know, that thing that they say, either shit or get off the pot type of things. Either make use of it or get it out, give it away, sell it, whatever. But it's almost like you're putting a block on the flow of the universe. You know, someone else could have that item and make a far more use of it and enjoy it than than me, when I speak for myself, hoarding it in the basement where it never gets seen, never gets used. So that's the other thing I've been doing, and it really feels fulfilling. As you see those items declutter and go, and a little bit of money kind of, you know, ain't a lot of money, but it's, you know, it's converting it into something else. And that money could be used to, I don't know, stock my garden or buy the first solar panel. So you're transforming something, going through a liquidated state, i.e. back to cash, into some kind of new requirement in our lives now. So that's another thing that's something that I find in quite, you know, it's a really good process. I think I've sold about 25 items so far, and I've got about 25 items on sale. Yeah, no, I've been at it. I've been, you know, and it's still, the basement's still full of crap, you know, still lots of stuff down there. And you think, why have we got all this stuff? You know, it feels, it's more of an anchor than it is. It's you know, I'm seeing material goods as almost an enslavement as opposed to an empowerment.
Yeah, I think also, you know, you tend to hang on to a lot of this stuff, and you almost, to a point, define yourself through these objects as well, particularly some of the sentimental stuff, or stuff that you attach to a certain time and place or person.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think there's an attachment to what these items, you know, and this is probably pretty shallow, but I think it's kind of like, well, I've been an audiophile since I was 14. So suddenly selling off these audiophile items is kind of admitting I'm not an audiophile anymore. You know, like that's not what I do anymore. In fact, I phoned someone about something the other day. I haven't spoken to him for about 18 months. He goes, still going on the racetrack? I went, no, that doesn't happen anymore. So I don't go on racetracks anymore. So I don't go to car racing event. So that doesn't define me anymore. And I think a bit like you with the dancing is actually starting to go think to yourself, what is the things that, who am I now? You know, like that, it's very pertinent, the title of this thing. It's like, who am I? The world has changed, I've changed. These are natural things. We change as we get older, as experiences come to us, as we alter our aspirations or understandings. And it's easy to go, I'm going to get rid of that because that gives me a solar panel. I'm going to get rid of that because that pays for my travel. Or I'm going to get rid of that because it remorphs, that asset remorphs and then turns into something different that is fit for purpose or is going to serve me in a way that maybe having some old hi-fi stands in the basement for 20 something years doesn't do anything. It's dead. It's like a deadness about it because it's not being used, it's not alive, it's not functional for what its intended purposes. It's just either laziness, vanity, attachment, you know. And as I'm noticing letting go of those things, I'm looking over here and going, right, now I can go and do this. So it's kind of releasing. So that's been something I've been doing. Anyway,
it's like a generation of energy, isn't it?
Yes,
I think getting rid of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. Yeah. So listen, I think we've first time back in 6 weeks.
Yeah, rambled on for a while.
Yeah, we'll do another one soon, maybe a little bit more focused on a specific subject. We thought we'd do a catch up and where are we now theme for today's call. Shulagh, you look really well. Good to see you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you.
Yes, I'm sure it is. No, Jay. Yeah, no, it is. I've missed this. I was a bit hesitant before we got onto the call. I'm like, what am I going to talk about? I don't want to come over as a miserable old git because that's how I feel sometimes. But I want to talk more positively about what we can do going forward without ignoring what is, what the real situation is presenting. Is what can I do that actually energizes and inspires us to keep going and find the way through. So that's something I
think a lot of that is finding the value in the present moment and not getting so fixated on the future and the stuff that hasn't actually happened yet. Obviously prepare, but without allowing yourself to get dragged down with the negativity of that.
Yeah, and when I find out, just going back to that interview, the Hawaiian guy, when they first started the interview, said they said, "How are you doing with all these, with what's going on and blah blah." He goes, "I'm great because I've got enough food, I've got enough water." In my right now, in my personal experience, it's fantastic. I've got pineapples on the tree, I've got this, I've got bananas, and I'm eating bananas off my own trees. I'm like, wow. I mean, can you imagine just picking up your own banana and eating it? It's like, so yeah, right now in your own personal experience, with all the concerns of what's coming, you can actually carve out a little bit of heaven right now and enjoy, whether it's picking your tomatoes, going for a walk in nature, transcending the energy of an existing item into some new opportunity. These are all positive things that we can do and share and benefit from. So thank you for your time today. It's been nice to be back. Look out for our next episode. Like and subscribe, share our channel, ask us some questions. Any requests for subjects, please let us know. Anything for you? Last words, Shulagh?
Same thing. If you've got any stories about what you've been up to over the last few weeks, and if you've felt any kind of shift happening personally and what you've been doing to mitigate the stuff that's going on, love to hear about it. And yeah, see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.